Hello! We're continuing on from last week. We're starting in Luke chapter 14, verse 15. When one of those at the table with him heard this, he said to Jesus, "Blessed is the man who will eat at the feast in the kingdom of God." It's always surprising to hear a Pharisee agree with Jesus, but it did happen. The feast in the kingdom of God was mentioned in the Old Testament, but in Revelation it is known as the marriage supper of the Lamb. It is when Jesus will welcome us into his kingdom. But Jesus gives a warning for this through a parable. Jesus replied, "A certain man was preparing a great banquet and invited many guests. At the time of the banquet he sent his servant to tell those who had been invited, 'Come, for everything is now ready.'" It was common that the invitations would be sent long before the festivities actually happened, but the exact time wouldn't be revealed until right when it was ready. Isn't that a good analogy for real life? Jesus invited us to heaven a long time ago, but no one knows when it will be time for it to actually happen. But they all alike began to make excuses. The first said, "I have just bought a field, and I must go and see it. Please excuse me." Another said, "I have just bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I am on my way to try them out. Please excuse me." Still another said, "I just got married, so I can't come." The servant came back and reported this to his master. It's difficult to balance because God still doesn't want you to just quit life. You should fill your life with doing good stuff. Marriage is one of the big ones. God gave us that for a reason. But when you die, all that will be gone for you, and all that there will be for you is heaven. And heaven is for eternity. So your end goal focus should always be on heaven. Then the owner of the house became angry and ordered his servant, "Go out quickly into the streets and alleys of the town and bring in the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame." "Sir," the servant said, "what you ordered has been done, but there's still room." Then the master told his servant, "Go out to the roads and country lanes and make them come in, so that my house will be full. I tell you, not one of those men who are invited will get a taste of my banquet." This references a few things. God's kingdom is for the meek. Those who are meek are righteous, but also have humility and patience. Not many people would think that they would get into heaven because they don't notice them, but God notices them. And it's about those who don't accept the invitation to heaven as well, which references a few different types of people. We've all gotten an invitation, so it references the non-believers, the ones that just don't care in the first place. And it references those who say they're believers but don't act on it. In Matthew chapter 7, Jesus says that there will be people on Judgment Day who claim they knew God, but God knows that they never knew him. And a difficult interpretation of this could be that it's about the acceptance of Jews versus Gentiles. Now, it would be too far to say that Jews won't get into heaven. That would not be correct. But in the parable, the master sent the servant out on the roads to other countries. This clearly references the Gentiles, as there have been many other verses with that kind of phrasing. And as we know, God invited the Jews into his kingdom way before anyone else, and he says, "Not one of those men who are invited will get a taste of my banquet." So, that's difficult to interpret, but I take it as Jesus saying that your heritage alone won't save you. Jesus was with a bunch of Pharisees at that moment, so he's teaching them that they need to be humble in order to come. And what's important is him. If I could read Romans 10:9, it says, "If you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved." So it doesn't matter who you are. We can all do so much to be better people, which is what God calls us to do, but you have to believe that Jesus called you to do those things first. So accept the invitation. Thank you.